'Tis me, the M.E Goddess. Feels like it's been forever since I've done a video. There's been quite a lot happen. I've got a new grandbaby, who is absolutely adorable. I was able to be there through her birth through FaceTime. So it's my first grandchild. My oldest daughter was giving birth, and it was a real heart wrench to not be able to be there, and so we managed to work it out that I was able to be there with her through FaceTime. So, but from a 4-inch by 6-inch phone screen, we shared something very, very special. And it got me thinking about purpose. 3 years ago, well, nearly 4 now, I had reached the end of a very long 3-year process of being told I was absolutely fine. There was nothing wrong with me, apart from the things I knew about, like my Hashimoto's disease and some arthritis. And I was completely broken, and I had these lines in the sand that I had decided that I just couldn't go on. I just felt I could not go on. I was becoming fully bedbound. I was in pain. I was having all the normal ME experiences that many of us experience, and I'd given up. I could not see a way to live or survive. My body was not coping with what was going on. I was not coping. And then a miracle happened, and I ended up in hospital with an American doctor who just happened to be there at that time, who understood ME, and we went through an entire process. And over that period of time, she re-educated the New Zealand staff that were dealing with me, and we came home with a care plan, and that's where I ended up with my wraparound care package of, I have carers who come in and wash me every day. We're still working 2-3 years later. We're still working on being able to get access with ramps and things for my wheelchair, but it's a process, as anyone in a country that doesn't understand ME understands. But anyway, that's not really what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about how I was ready to check out. I had an exit plan. I had everything planned. I truly felt I couldn't go on, and that the world would be a better place without me, and that my family would be better off without me. And when my grandchild was born, it reminded me of how far I've come from wanting to leave this earth to being here to see my grandbaby born, to seeing my children grow. I have 4 children, 2 grown and 2 at home. To see that every line in the sand that I said I couldn't cross, I crossed. I said, if I ever have to use a commode, that's it, I'm done. If I ever have to have anyone wipe my backside, that's it, I'm done. If I ever can't have a shower, that's it, I'm done. Oh my, there's such a long list of things I said. If that ever happened to me, I'm done. I will not lose my dignity. And actually, I've crossed every single one of those, and I haven't lost my dignity. And along with that, I've really been challenged. It took a lot of courage to face each one of those, because initially it feels like a defeat when I had to start using a commode and peeing in a bucket and having someone else clean that. And that, to me, was the ultimate in loss of self-respect and just a degradation of my own dignity. And when that happened, I felt embarrassed and all of those things. But I realized that I can overcome that. I can overcome that. I've already overcome so much. 18 months not being able to speak on a telephone. 2 years without the use of my left arm and hand, virtually like a stroke victim, but not, because of the way this disease works. And so I guess I'm just wanting to share that, really, these really deep places of every time I've drawn a line in the sand and having come so close to giving up, having had my exit strategy, having had everything ready, and finding and sort of life coming to me, the smallest thread of life, and I won't say hope, but I will say realizing that I still had purpose. I was an A-type personality. I was very outcomes driven. Everything I did, I wanted to do well, and I wanted to do very creatively, and like every other story, my story's not unique. I lost the ability to do all of that, and therefore I lost my sense of identity and purpose. And what I discovered, my thread, because I spent so long thinking that my family would be so much better off without me, not being burdened by all my special needs now, and not having to watch me suffer and live in a dark room all the time. And I felt like my children and my husband would grieve, and then they'd get on with their lives, and isn't that better for everybody? But then something happened, and I found that I was the only person who could talk to my child in a certain way about something and help them get through an event. That I was the person who my husband came to share and to be his best friend. And now I was the person that my babies came home from school to tell me about their day. And then I was the person that my daughter wanted to share in the birth of her child, her first child, right from the very first contraction. And I realized that I had purpose. My purpose wasn't in my own achievements, and isn't in my own achievements anymore. And it's taken me years to understand that and process that and accept that. It's been as hard as dealing with the physical aspects of this disease, of this illness. Is what's kept me alive and what's kept me pushing through my lines in the sand and dealing with my loss or my perceived loss of dignity, and dealing with someone having to wipe my bum, and dealing with someone having to get up and personal and give me a bed bath every day, and dealing with, you know, parts of me not working and not being able to go to the school productions and not being able to go to all of those things. What's helped me deal with those losses and that constant grief is that I still have purpose. It's different purpose. It's not the purpose I thought my life was going to have, but it is still purpose. And once I managed to redefine that purpose, I didn't want to leave. And now I fight every day to stay. I fight to not give in. I fight to hang on, you know, and hang on and hang on and deal with the dark days. And that's why I've been offline for so long, because I've been really quite sick. I've had various infections and other things going on, and I haven't had the energy or the strength to be able to do a video. I haven't had the speech. I've had paraphasia, so, you know, where all my words are all muddled up, and luckily the family pretty much has this mental dictionary of what I'm, you know, really saying, and I have a whole conversation in gobbledygook, but they get it, you know, and we turn it into something fun. I've had coordination and pain issues, etc., etc., blah blah blah. I mean, you're all going through it too. So, dealing with the grief of what I've lost and allowing myself to realize that sacrificing my own lines in the sand, my own sense of dignity, and sacrificing that has actually given me my dignity back, my sense of purpose back. It's just that instead of going out and being the person doing everything, I'm now the person who, through love and reflection and acceptance, is able in my own way to still contribute to my loved ones' lives. It's still hard some days. I've got to be careful. I was an artist and a jeweler and a writer and very super. I sewed, I sculpted, you name it, I did it. And it's still very challenging for me some days to watch YouTube videos about things, because I would always go, oh right, I'm going to do that, and I would go off and I would recreate what I had seen to, you know, to whatever the level of my ability was. And I've really had to learn that if I'm going to watch that YouTube, to appreciate that person's work and that person's talent, and to stop myself there and enjoy what I'm seeing and enjoy how it makes me feel, rather than getting the feeling from, great, awesome, I'm inspired, I'm going to go and do that thing. And that's taken a long time. I think I'm pretty much there, and I self-monitor as well. I've got to self-monitor a lot. But going through the grief process of letting things go is brutal. Let it, grieving for the life you've lost is brutal, and trying to understand that being this person who does nothing but lie in bed, usually in a dark room with controlled noise and an eye mask on, and I only took them off to interact with my children and the rest of the time. So I would spend 23 hours a day mummified so I could have 15 minutes with my children, and learning that that is purpose. That is my purpose. And it's been an amazing journey to get to that understanding that my purpose now is not about, outcomes and output. It's about being here and being present, even if it means 23 hours a day in the dark for 15 minutes of giving and being present for my children, even if it's on FaceTime with my older children who live further away, even if it's being present through a computer to watch my granddaughter giggle for the first time. That's purpose, and nobody and nothing can take that away from you unless you let it, and nobody and nothing can take away your dignity and your sense of self unless you let it. So if you're at that point where you think that you can't go on and the world is just a better place without you, coming from someone who's gone through that and is on the other side, I tell myself, I have a little pink note that I'll use for the thumbnail for this video. I tell myself, not today, because you just don't know what your purpose will be tomorrow. You just don't know. And I felt that was relevant. I felt really disconnected from all of you these past months, because everything's a choice. Everything's a choice. I have to be well enough to do a video, and tonight I decided that it was time to talk about this. So I hope that sharing helps you find your self-worth, sense of self-purpose. It may look nothing at all like what your sense of purpose was before you got ill, or when you were just a little bit ill or a little bit more ill. But when you are forced, when you're shoehorned into a situation that you cannot escape, you still have purpose and value, and you're needed. Even in the darkest moments. Not today. Just not today. Who knows, you don't know what you're going to miss, and you don't know who's going to miss you. So not today. So I'm sending all my love and my gratitude for people who have, messaged and kept in touch, and those that even just spare a thought for people who are in the dark and feeling a bit lost. Thank you. So for now, I will sign off and I will say toodles until next time. Doodles!